Hey, it's Nikki Llewellyn, and you're on Gut Plus Science. This podcast is on a mission to increase engagement at work. And on this show, we equip CEOs and people-first leaders of all levels to make impact. Let's get to it. I am excited to have a friend and content expert join Gut Plus Science to inspire, educate, and walk alongside us to navigate important diversity, equity, and inclusion topics that will help us move people forward. And it's Brian McComak. Brian is passionate about creating human-centered workplace cultures and has over 25 years of experience to share with us. Brian, you go.
Welcome back to the Gut Plus Science podcast. I am your DEI or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion commentator, Brian McComak. Thanks for joining me again this month. And as always, thanks, Nikki, for inviting me to be part of the Gut Plus Science community. Last month, we talked about leaning into discomfort gracefully and shared some tips on practicing the pause and curiosity and how to be empathetic and listen. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to visit the Hummingbird Humanity website to download the first guide in our 4-part series of navigating human-centered workplace conversations, which will illuminate those concepts even further and offer some additional resources. This month I was going to talk about kicking off your company's DEI journey and some of the tips and suggestions for how to do that. And that's still an important topic, and I promise that we'll get to it. I wanted to pivot, though, and talk about the crisis facing our country today with the number of lives that have been lost in recent weeks and certainly in recent years from mass shootings. And I'm not going to talk about the gun issue specifically, though I do hope that we solve the gun issue. But I want to talk about mental health and the reality that well-being is a workplace conversation. And what happens to us as humans outside of the workplace, it comes into the workplace with us. And there are so many humans today who are feeling the pain of the loss of life. There are parents who are afraid to send their children to school and wondering, will my child come home today? I can't imagine what that feels like. I don't have kids at this point in my journey. I do hope to at some point in the future. And that said, I really empathize with parents and can only imagine what it feels like and how much that concern they will have for their kids might take them away from the work that they love doing on a daily basis as well. And, if I'm not a member of the Black community, but the shooting in Buffalo was another example of systemic racism and the horrific impact that it's had on the Black community. So I can't solve all of those bigger issues, although I hope to contribute to the solution. What I wanted to offer today were a few different resources or tips or tools that I wanted to offer a few resources that might be helpful as you, as an individual, are navigating perhaps your own moments of stress and anxiety or mental health struggles. And hopefully these tools will help. You can also visit the Hummingbird Humanity website for our resource guide called A Guide to Mental Health and Wellbeing in the Workplace, which will also illuminate on these tools. So let's dive into the first tool here, which is Tara Brach's RAIN method. So RAIN is first the R, recognize what is happening in the moment and what emotion you are feeling. Second is A, allow yourself to experience it, whether you're angry or sad or upset, let yourself just feel it. So again, just recognize and then allow yourself to experience it. I, investigate what might be contributing to this feeling. What is making me feel this emotion and have this reaction? Is it really the person I am interacting with, or is it this feeling from somewhere else that is bubbling up in the moment? And then N, nurture yourself. Give yourself compassion for having feelings and emotions. We're human beings and we can't be perfect all the time. Give yourself grace and recognize the emotion is only temporary. I really like that method. And that's one that I use myself on a regular basis. This work that I get to do requires a significant investment of my own emotion, which I'm happy to give. And sometimes I need to pause and reflect and center so I can do the best work that I'm here to do. Another tool that I really, really appreciate is from my friend and colleague, Alan Samuel Cohen. And this one is a tool that when I first experienced this with Alan, I realized it feels like it's based on the Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity Prayer is big for me. And for anyone who's listening who might not be familiar with that prayer, it goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And for those of you who might not be a believer in God, you can just strike that first word and just say, universe, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So whatever higher power might be appropriate for you, or maybe it's just the universe, it's still a great meditation, if you want to look at it that way, that might prove to be helpful. So this tool from Alan, though, is write down all of the things that are creating stress in the moment. Be as specific as you can about what the stressor is. Next, place the stressors into one of the following buckets. What is in my control? What can I have influence over? What is outside of my control? Now that you've sorted out what you have control over, what you can influence, and what is outside of your control, ask yourself the following. What are some steps that I can take to create a greater sense of being in control? Where can I exert some influence over an outcome, no matter how small? And what do I need to accept that I have no control over? After completing this exercise, take some time to reflect and see, how do you feel now? What I learned the first time that I did this exercise was that I was trying to focus my time and my energy and my intention on things that were outside of my control. And that was causing some of my stress and anxiety. So I learned that by adjusting, by paying attention, by understanding what was causing my stress and adjusting, that I could take some steps to feel better and to focus my energy on places where I could have the most tangible and real impact. So again, I just wanted to say to all of you out there, it feels like a really difficult time, certainly for me, and I've heard from many others that this time feels painful in our history of the world, and challenging and scary, and many of us feel the amount of uncertainty around us of what's going to happen next. And the thing that I try to do the most often is just to be present in the moment. And sometimes I will just say, am I okay right now? And the answer is yes, I'm alive. I get to do work that I love doing. I have a home, I have a family. I have a dog, Bosco, who I love and who keeps me company. I have friends and loved ones. I'm incredibly fortunate and grateful. And in any given moment, I'm okay. And that helps to give me some serenity and peace. So I hope that these tools and resources are helpful for you as you are going on your journey and navigating the challenges of the world around us and trying to find moments of serenity and peace in your day. And definitely visit the hummingbirdhumanity.com website to download these two tools that I've mentioned on navigating human-centered conversations at work and our mental health and well-being guide in the workplace. Those are great resources that will hopefully help you, and please share them with others. We create those resources for all of you as our way of being of service in this work that we get to do. Thanks so much for listening. I look forward to joining you again next month, and we'll plan to talk about kicking off your diversity, equity, and inclusion journey at your company. Thanks so very much. Until next time, stay safe and be well.
We just left the world a little bit better. Now go do something with it.